Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
From Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York. It's Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. Tell a friend Tuesday. Tell friends about Wisdom of the Sages. Let this thing grow. Whew. Have you ever tried, it used to just be called margarine. Now it's plant-based butter. They've really rebranded margarine.
Is this
a
commercial?
Made it expensive, and it's not a commercial. I'm just putting, I just put Country Crock creamer into my tea. And I'm like, wait a second, Country Crock. I remember that from a kid. That was this gross stuff. And now they've made it. I get it. Plant-based, unfood creamer.
Okay.
Plant-based toothpaste. What did it have in there? Bones? What was in toothpaste that it's plant-based now?
I don't know. Not important, Raghunath.
It's very important, but anyway, it's like maybe the most important or the second important. How are you, Kastuba? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. You ready to get this started, Raghunath? You look like you're unprepared mentally. You look like you got too many drinks in front of you. You don't look like you're ready to start the show today.
I'm very prepared.
Okay.
What's going on with us, Mara? You got anything to share?
She's got announcements, as always.
Yes.
She's going to need the microphone.
Okay. Here we go. Why don't you just lean in, extend your neck like a giraffe?
I can't reach so far. Back to recovery group meetings today. The men are at noon and the women meet at 2. And then tomorrow for our Patreon members, Michelle Berger is offering an asana class at 3:30 p.m.
We had a good Patreon meeting yesterday, right, Raghunath?
Oh, yeah. We're going to do Q&A days with Raghunath. And
we plan on by June kind of launching just a lot more, just getting some building up Patreon, offering more. Raghunath and I doing things regularly, and bringing on some other teachers doing some different courses or workshops. Coming soon, right?
Coming soon. We can't say anything yet. That's all you get.
All right.
You wait, it's coming. What else is happening, Kastuba?
Well, we got a nugget to get into.
Alrighty. Did you send it to Mara? Okay, here we go. Here, this is a great one by Henry David Thoreau. Cultivate poverty. That alone, it could be a nugget. Cultivate poverty.
well, we should be. I think also, when was Henry David Thoreau? 18.
Oh, you're saying Henry had it was like 1890, I think.
No. He was much earlier than that, I believe.
I don't think he was. Mara? Henry David Thoreau.
When he, let's say when Walden came out, what
Born
what
in
was the time?
1817, died in 1862.
Okay,
So
I'm
much
wrong.
earlier.
Much earlier.
So what did she say? He died 1862. So this is in the early 1800s. He's speaking this. So poverty when we use the word poverty, generally we're talking about like
Destitution.
some kind of economical, product of oppression or something, like that people not having the basic necessities that they need. But I think, if you go back, it's more of a religious term, and it means more like like we say vows of poverty, like here's one definition is the renunciation of the right to individual ownership of property as part of a religious vow.
It's so good that we can go back and hear these older definitions, because the Bhagavatam itself was written in an older, like almost like a Victorian English sometimes when we read these things, and they're always rechanging what words mean nowadays too. So it's good to hear, like, I didn't take it like that, but cultivate poverty. And Prabhupada glorifies poverty in, what is that, the first advent of Lord Krishna? He glorifies poverty. The poverty-stricken man has got no issues with people visiting their houses and holy people.
Okay,
like if you have a lot of money and somebody comes to your house, sometimes you'd be like, get off my property or something like that.
Yeah. So it seems like, essentially what we're talking about is it means, there's elements of living very simply and the renunciation, like lack of possessiveness,
Sure. An indulgence in things, which, I'm guilty of, sir. I just wanted to put that out there. When I read this, I was like, okay, this one's about me. This one's all about me. Thanks, Kastuba. You knew it. You knew it. Like, here, Raghunath, here's a little stab in your ribs.
You always think I'm judging. I'm not. My judgment of you is I see you as my superior, Raghunath. I'm not.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, can I order you around?
No.
Wrong answer. Okay.
But here, even where it says cultivate poverty like a garden herb, in other words, there are things that may like you have an herb in the garden, you have to protect it from weeds and stuff, right? So like actually I want to cultivate, I want to consciously progress to deeper stages, of this renunciation of the things of this world, of this living simply, of this giving, this letting go of possessiveness. I want to carefully cultivate this and not let anything interfere with its growth.
Cultivate luxury.
Excuse me?
It's like the opposite. Cultivate luxury.
Yeah, luxury or possessiveness.
Everyone's selling cultivate luxury.
Right.
Yeah, right.
As success.
Yeah.
Okay.
When Mara got her new car, I was like, oh, get the one with the winter package. Don't get the cheap baseline package. Get the one with the good, the bigger wheels. What's the matter with me? Why am I trying to cultivate luxury? I got to cultivate simplicity. This thing is talking to me. Cultivate poverty like a garden herb, like sage.
Okay.
Do not trouble yourself much with new things, whether clothes. I like this one. Whether clothing or friends.
Yeah, trying to be.
Don't get new friends.
Yeah.
Don't get new friends. What if you don't like your old friends? Then I got to do some work, maybe. I got some old friends, though. Whether clothes or friends, we're old friends. Turn the old, return to them.
I think that's also kind of an archaic language, saying like, you don't need new things. You have what you need right there. Just use it again. Wear the same coat this winter. That kind of thing.
The problem is they make things so cheap now. They make things born to expire, just like what's that called? Planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
You ever see like those old washer and dryers? You could fix them. You can't fix the new ones. They're just like, oh, you just got to replace it. Warranty ran out. Patch the jeans. That's a good takeaway. Patch the jeans.
Let's start this one again. Let's flow right through here.
Cultivate poverty like a garden herb, like sage. Do not trouble yourself much to get new things, whether clothes or friends. Turn the old, return to them. Things did not change. We change. Sell your clothes and keep your thoughts.
Oh, there's their t-shirt.
God will see that you do not want society.
Although maybe we shouldn't say t-shirt because
Sell your t-shirt. Sell your t-shirt. Yeah, let's make t-shirts. Let's make T-shirts that say "Don't wear T-shirts."
Basically, that's what it'd be like. Sell your clothes and keep your thoughts. In other, that to me, that's essential, right? And it gets to the point that we're making so much. Bhagavatam is making so much. We try to frame and highlight that all of these yogic principles here, we're talking about principles of renunciation. Sometimes we're talking about how we deal with other people. Sometimes we're talking about letting go of petty things. Sometimes we're talking about what we consume in terms of media, etc. All of it has to do so that we can keep our thoughts. In other words, so that we can consciously direct our thoughts, that we can have a mind full of exactly what we want our mind to be full of, and not letting anything interfere with that. So he's identifying this idea of simplicity, as being essential for that kind of for, to achieve that kind of mental state, consciously, determining what our mental state will be.
Sell your clothes, keep your thoughts. This is very good.
And finally,
I think this thing really, this whole thing says it all. Right?
Okay.
I think this is for me. I'm going to take this seriously. Mara, we're cleaning out the closet today. We're getting rid of all your things.
I think you got to turn your mic a little bit, Rogo.
Oh, okay. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going through Mara's closet and throwing away all our clothing today.
We're going through Mara's closet.
Well, things let it begin with you.
Mara,
Well,
why don't
let's
you
see
go
how
through
it works
his,
with you.
garage.
Yeah. Are you kidding? I was like, can I just have a little touch of closet space to hang a few of my things, Prabhu? Just a couple things that need to be hung. His closet's like, what, 15 by 15? He's like,
He's a
I
rock
don't
star. They
know.
give
I
him
don't
all
know if
kind of
there's any room
clothes.
here."
My closet's like a New York City apartment,
It's true, actually.
but I got other stuff in there too, not just clothing. I don't have that many clothing. What do I
Other
wear?
possessions that you don't use.
You know what I appreciate about Sweet Banjo Mike?
What's that?
Sweet Banjo Mike. This is what I noticed about Sweet Banjo Mike. He's got like a hat. He's got a jacket. He's got a pants and boots, and they're all quality stuff. He doesn't wearing the crappy trucker hats I wear, the crappy clothes. He's just like, he's dressed perfectly like an outdoorsman walking around with a chainsaw, and everything's quality. And it probably lasts him his whole life.
He's a gentleman.
He probably doesn't lose anything either. Like, he probably has, if he has one
Of course.
hat, he probably keeps his hat. Like, it's not like you need 7 hats.
You see, I want everyone to recognize something right now. When you think that I'm always getting on Raghunath's case, it's just that he drives you to it, and eventually, even the mildest person will just be coming back again and again, like this. Mayor's at that stage right now. She's reached that stage.
He drives you to complaints. I was sent to you for your purification.
Okay.
Get it through your head. Don't you understand? I'm your gift.
I do. You are my gift. You are.
All right, people.
Okay.
Let's let this party begin.
Let's go.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord will be established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, Text 39.
I think we're on text 40.
40.
And you know what's going to happen now, Raghunath? I
I'm
don't know.
coming out of the forest.
Well, yeah, we kind of came out of the forest yesterday.
Came out of the forest, yes.
And now we just have maybe 6 or 7 verses left. You know how many chapters have been dedicated to the story of Bharat Maharaj / deer / Jada Bharat?
How many chapters?
7 chapters total.
Wow.
Right. So it's finally
Important
coming
story.
to an end. It's
Yeah.
very important. That just shows you how Vyasadeva valued this story, and chose to highlight it.
It
Chose to
sort of
write so
has it
much on
all. It has illusion. It has rebirth, eternality of the soul,
renunciation.
playing dumb for your
Yeah.
benefit.
Yeah, it's got so much, and and it wound up with 2 chapters, of really analyzing the problems with materialistic life. And
Mhm.
now it's going to conclude, and this is real significant. Where does it conclude? We see that Vyasa is going to do. Let's look at the author, and let's look at the patterns that we find in his writings. So what are the patterns that we see in Bhagavatam, that how Vyasa is very consciously framing messages for us. And there's one essential message that comes through the Bhagavatam again and again and again, and Vyas commonly turns to it at the end of chapters, or here at the end of a larger story, right?
Right.
Which is that success in life is not those things that you might have identified as success even through his earlier books, like the 4 Vedas or the Upanishads. Success in life is not becoming a pious, materialistic person that's living piously, doing all the right rituals, living very religiously, and reaping material benefits. That, even though that's identified as a step forward earlier in his books, that's not the ultimate success of life. It won't grant Atma Supersiddhiti, complete satisfaction of the self. And even mukti, liberation, relief from all the sufferings of this world through renunciation. Even
Seems like
that,
that's the highest. It seems like that's the highest.
for so many people, they
It's not.
identify that as highest. Based on Vyasa's teachings, they identify that as the highest. In these last verses, he's going to be clear again. Neither of those is the ultimate spiritual goal. The ultimate spiritual
interesting?
goal is divine love.
Because if you just sit with like 2 months listening to Wisdom of the Sages every day,
Yeah.
and if you're like into yoga, like I'm into yoga, or like like you're a yoga teacher who likes reading yoga philosophy from different gurus, if you go back after 2 months of hearing the Bhagavatam from Vyasadeva, and you
Yeah.
go back and read yoga books, things will make so much more sense,
It's
and
the
you'll
key.
actually learn discernment. Where you say, well, actually, this is just teaching mukti. Wait a second. This is just
Right.
teaching siddhis. This is
Right.
just teaching. This is mixing mukti with bhakti.
Right.
You'll be
Yes,
able to,
yes.
right? You'll be able
Yeah,
to
yeah.
discern what's a little bit. That's what the Bhagavatam is doing. That's what Vyasadeva is doing. He's sharpening our intelligence. We're dull. We don't know. We're born blind. We're born just
Like
uneducated.
a mole.
And we're like, okay, we're like a mole. We're like a blind little mole.
That's
And
right.
we see somebody with a beard and with a turban and with a robe, and they're like, well, everyone calls him a guru. He must be a guru, right?
Yeah.
This person's white or Indian or black. They can't, gurus have to look this particular way. You'll learn what guru is. You'll learn what teachers are. You'll learn what Krishna was saying in the Bhagavad Gita. And this whole sort of vague, ambiguous, nebulous mystery of what we call Hinduism will say, you'll be able to like pick it apart and be like,
Right.
wait a second, this is nonsense. And this is Maya. This is Maya. And this, I don't know where they got this thing from.
Okay.
And this is actually
positive,
substantial, but it's not the highest
the end.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the goal.
It's
It's amazing.
On our chat board, Prem Krishna Prasad, who's got our favorite name of our listeners now.
Prem Krishna Prasad, you win. Your
Best name.
parents gave you the best name ever.
So Prem Krishna Prasad has asked, did Vyasadeva, the author of all these literatures, did he compile the Bhagavatam after writing Vedanta Sutra or before? It's a really significant question. And this answer may amaze you, Prem. It's actually said that the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, it's the commentary. It's the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the author of Vedanta Sutra himself. It's the book where Vyas explains, fluffs out. The scholars can draw. They can draw the parallels, like they can see how this message in Bhagavatam stems from this particular sutra, from Vedanta Sutra. Like, I believe that Baladev Vidyabhushan has written at length on that. But yeah, everything, and it's explained in Bhagavatam how after compiling all these books, including Vedanta Sutra, that Vyasa was still feeling unfulfilled, still feeling some sense of despondency, couldn't understand why. And his guru Narada said, because you haven't directly glorified devotional service, you haven't directly glorified bhakti, you haven't directly glorified Krishna and his pastimes, go back. He goes back and he takes Bhagavad Purana or Srimad Bhagavatam, which had already been written, and he revises it. Right? He revised it, and then you get the Bhagavatam that we have now.
Mm.
So in these last verses, 40 through 46, I think it is, after 7 chapters, these are the final verses on the story of Bharat, from when he was a king to when he walked away from the kingdom and was a sage out in the forest, to when he took his next birth as a deer, into his next birth as born in a Brahmin family, but externally living like a dullard. And then 4 chapters. 4 chapters were dedicated just to his conversation with King Rahugana. Right? 4 chapters we spent on that. And now the final verses now Vyasa will give us the final verses to help us understand this. Again, I'm illustrating the same message again and again and again, that bhakti is the top of the ladder of this spiritual ascension, through karma, jnana, and ultimately bhakti.
There's a book that sometimes devotees sell called Krishna Bhakti Yoga, the topmost yoga system.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the little book.
And I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, this is such a, how dare they say this is the topmost yoga system? There's a lot of yoga systems out there. But when you actually read the Bhagavatam, you'll understand it's not just pushing for one particular lineage just because that's our lineage. It's like, that's where you're supposed to be going with all this stuff.
Right.
It's all meant to bring you here. It's the final destination on the journey is loving reciprocal devotion with the Lord.
It's kind of like in the Bible, where the disciples asked Jesus, "What's the most important commandment?" Right. In other words,
what did he say, Mara? What did he say?
What did he say, Mara?
You don't know.
Raghunath is going to reveal to you what Jesus said.
Love God with your heart, mind, and soul,
and
love your enemy like your
love your neighbor.
Love your neighbor.
Yourself.
Love your neighbor.
Yeah. So in other words, he could identify that it's not that other teachings aren't true, but there's the highest teaching, right? And so Vyas is identifying the teachings of bhakti as the highest teachings. They progress towards pure selfless love for God and for every living being. Just as Jesus identified that as the highest commandment, Vyas in Bhagavatam is identifying that as the highest yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is a mind-blowing verse. This text 40 is a good one. I mean, they're all good, but this one.
You ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
There were many great saintly kings who were very expert in forming sacrificial rituals and very competent in conquering other kingdoms. Yet, despite their power, they could not attain the loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is because those great kings could not even conquer the false consciousness of, I am this body and this is my property. Thus, they simply create enmity with rival kings, fought with them, and died without having discharged life's real mission. Yep.
Yeah. It's like, in a sense, what this is saying is that all material success, even that material success that's outlined in like the 4 Vedas, it mentions, okay, you're a king, right? Just to rise to the position, you take a kingdom, it has hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people, and it has a king. You're one person out of a million that has the most power, the most influence, the most wealth, the most fame. You're that rare individual that's risen very high, right? Due to whatever karmic merit you've accrued in previous lives, you are successful, influential materialist, right? So he's saying there were many great, even saintly, meaning like they were following the teachings of the Vedas very religiously, right?
Hmm.
They were very expert in performing sacrificial rituals. So they were religious in that sense, that they were following the teachings of the four Vedas. And yet, despite their power, they were competent in conquering other kingdoms. Imagine the influence. Most of us have so little influence in this world. Imagine if you were a person that could change the course of history,
Mm.
that could conquer another kingdom, that could tax that kingdom and take their wealth, that could impose laws or values on another kingdom. Super influential people, right? And it's saying, despite all of this, they couldn't achieve the actual goal of life, right? Even though they're so influential, so powerful, whereas a simple poverty-stricken person could achieve this goal. A person that appears they have very little worldly influence could achieve this goal. It says, yet despite their power, they could not attain the loving service of the Supreme Personality of God. That's the goal.
Right. Imagine if these influential people, imagine if Elon Musk was like, okay, I built electric cars. We popularized electric cars. We got charging stations all over the world. I'm going to buy Twitter with my pocket money. And now I'm going to send people to space. Now what? Let's see. You know what? It's time to work on my Japa. I think I should just get seriously about. You got everything else. Now, imagine bringing it all home.
Yeah. Now it identifies why it's really, in a sense, there's a juxtaposition being framed here for us, right? Incredible material influence compared to a person that's got no material influence but can achieve the goal of life, which is prema, which is divine love, right? That's the actual, it's being said, that's the accomplished person, the truly accomplished person. Why couldn't the person that's so materially influential achieve what this, even a poverty-stricken person could achieve? And the formula is given here, and it has to do with this. Here's our Sanskrit nugget for today, Raghunath.
Tell me.
Ahammameti.
Ahammameti.
Yeah. Aham means I am,
I,
right? And mameti, this is mine, right?
This is mine.
So he in this verse is described, this is because those great kings could not even conquer the false consciousness of aham, I am this body, mameti, this is my property, right? I'm not this body, and I own nothing. Even as a king, even this kingdom, none of them are ultimately mine. I didn't create them. I'm just temporarily a steward of them.
You know what I love about Vedic culture, Indian culture, Srila Prabhupada? He points out the distinction that we don't have in America. When we say, oh yeah, a great man, like a historical great man, generally has to do with some achievement. Like, yes, I made all the electric cars, or whatever it is, some great president. Or in yoga culture and in Indian culture and Vedic culture, great men, generally speaking, or women, it's not even necessarily what they've done, but it's their character as well, is interwoven with it. Matter of fact, what's the purport? Prabhupada, maybe you could find that, where Prabhupada speaks about, why aren't great philosophers, thoughtful people, leaders, politicians taking seriously this, seriously this Krishna consciousness, you might ask. And the answer is because they're not actually great philosophers. They're not actually great. They're not great. Right. We've just given them this title. They are great at it. But to be a real great leader, it has to be woven deeply with a person's character. I always say with my kids, I don't really care what they do in this world. I don't care if they're mechanics. I don't care if they're the next president of the United States. I don't care if they're dumb as stone, as long as they have some good character. That's all a parent can really, truly hope for. And it's a redefinition of what a great person is.
Yes. And you could say a redefinition of what success is. Like, what is this human life? What am I meant to achieve? What is a true achievement? What is success in life? Mm-hmm. I may conquer other kingdoms. I may rise to the highest position. But if I haven't actually developed that divine love. So this verse ended by saying, thus, because they couldn't transcend this ahammameti, this illusory state of awareness, it says, thus, even they, right, simply created enmity with rival kings, fought with them, and died without having discharged life's real mission. That's that's the way it goes.
You know what?
That's material success. Is you ultimately you fight with others, and you die on the battlefield, right?
You know what's showing up in my life right now is these people, these students of ours that are coming into Bhakti, and they're coming from different, walks of life and different backgrounds and different professions, and they're like saying, you know what, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to get very serious into Bhakti.
Mhm.
And by getting very serious into Bhakti, they experience some sort of type of higher taste, and they fully absorb themselves. And then they just say, okay, now I'm going to go back to concentrate on my career. And their career is like, what was I doing with my life? And they
Yeah.
can't fully embrace their old life anymore because they've experienced, like, actually a big part of my life was truly just about my ego. And it was just about making some material splash that had nothing to do with myself. As a matter of fact, I was burying my genuine self within that circle, that workplace. And they find themselves like a little torn now. And it's a great place to be, actually, because what I find is happening, a lot of these people that are running into or that we're training and stuff like that, is they're getting like they're hearing a whisper from Krishna.
Oh.
And sometimes it's not so loud. They're hearing a whisper like, well, maybe that's not what you're meant to do. Maybe there's something else for you to do. Maybe you should step into this. What do you think?
To get that whisper, to hear that whisper, right? People may go their whole lives and be entirely out of tune with that whisper. Even that whisper may be even from deep down within, you could say from Paramatma. Maybe that whisper speaks and it's like they're totally out of tune with it, like not hearing it whatsoever.
There's so much volume in the head, or the ego's got the volume's got it on 10.
Yes.
The ego's got it on 10.
Well, and this goes back to our nugget, right? Because if we go back, I'm almost certain that nugget that we read from Henry David Thoreau came from Walden. Yes, it is from Walden. I'm pretty sure. Okay. And just a little bit further down in that paragraph, he starts to speak about humility, right? Like, so he's talking about poverty, humility, right? In other words, not trying to ultimately living very simply. I don't need, poverty means I don't need the material things. Humility means I don't need the material recognition, right? You with me at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm just
All right.
focused.
All right. So now he speaks about how humility, and I think even poverty ties into that humility, right? Living humbly, right? How you're using the analogy of like hearing a voice, right? He's going to use another analogy, seeing the stars. Okay. Because the stars are there right now. Like, it's daytime. They're all right there right now. It's just that we don't see them, right?
Yeah.
Like, we see the stars at night. They're still there
You can't
during
even
the
see them
day.
at night in the cities.
Nowadays,
oftentimes,
yeah.
wherever there's a lot of light.
Yeah. So he says humility like darkness. This is a positive darkness, right? Humility like darkness reveals the heavenly lights. The shadows of poverty and meanness. And here again, meanness, he's using it in a different way, not like the way that we use it, meanness, but like having very little, right? The shadows of poverty and meanness gather around us. And then it says, quote, and lo, meaning lo and behold, right? And lo, and like, how would you translate that? And like, check it out.
It's also used another way. It's like a whole different language.
And lo, and check it out. Creation widens to our view. Like, we actually can zoom out and see. So in other words, it's saying, yeah, if we're living the right lifestyle, if we're cultivating the right character, we have the ability to try to understand what's being discussed in this verse. What is the mission of human life that's meant to be discharged? What is it that I might miss, even being a king and being so influential and so on? what is life really all about? What is true success? Now, Prabhupada begins to speak about this in the commentary. You want to hit the commentary, Roga?
Yep. Commentary 40, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The real mission of life for the conditioned soul, that's us, is to reestablish the forgotten relationship with the personality of Godhead and engage in devotional service so that he may revive Krishna consciousness after giving up his body. That is a very complete sentence,
Yes.
right?
There's
That
a
is what,
purpose
if
of
someone
life.
asks you, what is the goal of the yoga system? That's your answer.
Mm.
You know, it's amazing how when you really understand the whole picture,
Simple.
you can be super concise.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm going to read that again.
Okay, read it again.
The real mission of life for the conditioned soul is to reestablish the forgotten relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in devotional service so that he may revive Krishna consciousness after giving up this body.
Now he's going to bring it
So
down.
good.
Now bring it down to this becomes a really important message. There's a lot more to this next sentence or two that well, let's talk about. Go ahead, read the next sentence.
One doesn't give up his occupation.
One doesn't have to.
One doesn't have to give up his occupation as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, or whatever. Whatever you're doing in this world, you don't have to give that up in any position while discharging your prescribed duties. One can develop bhakti, Krishna consciousness, simply by associating with devotees who are representatives of Krishna and who can teach them this science. This is it. This idea of reviving our Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
It's already there. It's not a weird thing. It's not a conversion. Okay, I see you over there. I'm going to convert you to what I am. It's already in you. Our spiritual life is already within us.
Yeah.
It is just forgotten about.
Mm.
And I've just identified myself as a particular political party, a different race, a different gender preference, it's not us. We have one identity. I can't live in this lesser identity. I'm Republican or Democrat, I'm American. It's a lesser identity, and there'll never be peace in that identity. If you're looking for peace, pull it right back here. I'm a pure spirit soul that has forgotten, and I'm trying to get that up. I'm trying to wake that up. What do you think? Cheers. Did you say cheers?
Yeah, because I just was going to drink something, but
okay.
It was also, I appreciated what you said. And you know, this point that when Prabhupada says in this commentary that he's speaking from another frame, frame of understanding. But when he says one doesn't have to give up their occupation as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or whatever, what he's saying is, it's not that you have to externally change your life. It's not that you have to walk away from your family to become a renunciate. It's not that you have to give up your job. It's not that, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or woman. None of these, in any position, he's saying, right? There's a really important verse in the 10th canto where Brahma's prayers to Krishna are it's such a fantastic chapter, chapter 14 of the 10th canto. But in the third verse of chapter 14, Brahma prays this, standing, on his knees, with tears flowing from all 8 of his eyes.
All 4 of his heads, 8 of his eyes.
And little Krishna there, standing there with a lump of butter or yogurt or something like in his hand, right?
You ever wonder if his heads were all facing one direction or if they're one for each direction?
It's hard to know. I don't know. So, but he prays this. He says, those who, and he uses a phrase here, stane stitaha.
Stane stitaha.
Stane means like in your position, and stitaha means remaining in your position, right? Social position.
Like a steady place, right?
In other words, you don't have to change your social position. You don't have to I'm married now. Oh, you have to walk away from your marriage. Oh, I'm a business person now. I can't practice spirituality. No, you can, right? You can remain in that position. So he says, those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, stane stitaha. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away. You hear again the process of speculative knowledge. In other words, that's referring to the Upanishadic, how the Upanishads are often interpretive. It's about renunciation. That's what it's referring to here when it says speculative knowledge, right? It's about like, who throw away that process. I want liberation as the ultimate goal, not divine love. I want freedom from suffering as the ultimate goal, not divine love. So those who they stay in their social position, they throw away the desire for mukti, and with their body, words, and mind, right? I'm going to engage my body. I'm going to engage my words, and these are in order of, you could say, in order of difficulty, right? It's easiest to engage my body, and then my words, and then ultimately my mind. I give them all over, right? And offer all respects to descriptions of your personality and activities. That means hearing the Bhagavatam, right? Dedicating their lives, to these narrations, to this wisdom, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees. They certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds, right? Even that king that we're hearing about back in that we're reading today, who's dying on the battlefield, having conquered so many other kingdoms, having been so influential, couldn't develop that divine love. Even the person staying in the social position, my job is mopping the floors, right? My job is I just take care of my home. That's my position in life. My job, whatever our position may be in life. If we give up the desire, these ulterior desires, and just hear this Bhagavatam, hear from pure devotees, that is the most that yogic process right there gives you the ability to conquer what that king couldn't conquer, right? Which is ultimately to conquer the heart of God, and that's what's established here as the goal of life in Bhagavatam.
Pretty interesting.
You want to continue the commentary?
Sure. Okay.
Regretfully,
that up in any position while discharging his prescribed duties, one can develop Krishna consciousness simply associating. Okay. Regretfully, the big politicians and leaders in the material world simply create enmity. Isn't that true? We were talking about that yesterday.
I think we could all ask ourselves that question. Through my actions, am I just creating enmity in this world?
Yeah. Am I bringing everyone together?
Yeah, exactly.
Or am I just saying, no, I want you all to understand my side.
Right.
Because my side happens to be the right side.
Right.
And are not interested in spiritual advancement. Material advancement may be very pleasing to an ordinary man, but ultimately they are defeated because they identify themselves with a material body. I just said this. And considers everything related to it to be his property.
That's again, aham mameti.
This is ignorance.
I am this body. Everything is my property, right?
Actually, nothing belongs to him. Not even the body. Isn't that interesting? It's not even your body.
This is why you cultivate poverty, right? Because it's helping you align with reality that ultimately nothing is mine.
By one's karma, one gets a particular body. And if he does not utilize his body to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all of his activities are frustrated. This is
die on that battle. You're just lying on that
This is such important information. Don't you feel like you got to I got to tell the whole world this. I think this is what happens when you get serious about Bhagavatam. You feel like I have to tell the entire world this.
Tell a friend Friday.
Tell a friend. Don't keep it secret. Tell a friend. And you know what's interesting when you tell a friend? Sometimes your friends challenge you. And then you have to think a little deeper, right? Because to hear it is one thing. And this is true if you learn the violin, learn the piano, learn martial arts. You want to get great at something, you teach somebody how to do it, right? And so when you become a teacher, you become you have a better understanding of whatever the science is. So the same is true with bhakti. You're going to present something to your mom, to your friend, to your spouse, and then they're going to well, what about this? And you're going to be like, oh, I never thought about that. And you're going to have to you're going to have to churn it. You're going to have to polish it, and you're going to have to deepen your understanding of it. So it's good to share it for your own depth. It's good to share this with other people.
Right.
This is from the Bhagavatam. Atap pumbir dvija shrestha vanashram vibhagasaha swanushtitasya dharmasya samsidhir haritoshanam.
This is describing what is real success.
This is really real success. It really doesn't matter what activity a man engages in. If he can simply satisfy the Supreme Lord, his life is successful.
Here's the translation to that verse. And that's from that super important second chapter of the first canto where everything is laid out. It says, he said, it is concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please the personality of Godhead. Right? That's whatever my position is in life, whatever my role is, the goal of it is to please God through it. You don't have to change the position. You have to change your purpose for why you're doing it. Right? That's what has to be clarified. That's what has to be, you could say, purified.
If anybody wants to do something extra spiritual today, take 15 minutes and read chapter 2, just the verses of the second chapter of Canto 1. Chapter 2, right? No. Yeah, chapter 2 of Canto 1.
Right.
And it's quite lovely.
I have an alternative translation to the verse that we just read, text 40. Right?
Tell me.
So it's the same. It's written much shorter, but it's kind of got a graphic element to it that I think is powerful. So here's this other translation, same verse. Even though a person may be a conqueror of all directions, a performer of great sacrifices, and become a great king, lying on the battlefield, on the soil which created enmity with others by thinking this earth is mine, he gives up the earth and dies.
This land is your land. This land is my land.
But think about this. In other words, you die right in that dirt
that you were fighting over.
This is the last picture. Like a lot of people will, through their business, let's say, they'll create enmity with others. They'll achieve great wealth, and they'll die in the hospital that is like, even that they may have become a philanthropist and donated to. They're lying there on a bed plugged into like the most expensive medical equipment, and there they die, ultimately having achieved nothing. Like in others, they exit that world with nothing except the karma that they've accrued, and then they enter into the next body. So again, we're wrapping up this chapter. We've only read one verse today. We got about 5 more left. But it's just like, let's collectively focus on this message. Every single person can ask themselves, is it clear in my mind what the goal of human life is? Have I defined for myself what success of this life looks like? Or will I just die in a battlefield having created enmity with others? Have I taken steps forward? Have I progressed towards that goal of life that I have clearly defined? And Bhagavatam is trying to say, get it clearly defined, and it's helping us define what it is. That ultimately, if you can touch the heart of God, if you can become that person that can move the heart of God, and through that, you can touch the hearts of everyone else, then you've achieved the goal of life. And no matter what, there's nothing on the other side of the scale that bounces with that.
I like that.
All right,
Miss
I think we're out of time.
It is time.
Takeaways?
Give us some takeaways, please.
All right. Cultivate poverty to align with reality.
Okay.
Sell your clothes and keep your thoughts.
There you go.
Burn your bra.
We're like we're like blind moles until we hear from Vyasadeva.
That's right.
Real success is Atma supersidity.
True.
Good ones. Where'd you get these from?
They're
Did you
really
make them
good.
up or did people say them?
No, yeah, I got them from you and Kastuba.
Okay.
Listen for Krishna's whisper.
Listen.
Oh.
Listen. Do you want to hear a secret? Ah.
Turn down the volume of the ego.
Turn it down.
Turn it down.
Cultivate the right character and creation expands.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Revive our Krishna consciousness.
Revive it.
Am I creating enmity?
Am I?
Am I?
You don't have to change your position, but purify your purpose.
Ooh,
Nice.
I like that.
Good one, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
And
Patch the jeans.
patch the jeans. We kept that one. All right.
Patch the jeans.
Patch the jeans.
Okay, patch him up.
Patch them up. Oh yeah, patch them. Stop
We
buying
used to
all
do that,
this.
right? That was like the thing.
People patch jeans with cool patches.
No, I'm saying even when we're kids, like the mothers would always patch the pants up, right? You didn't buy new pants.
No one patch. Mallory still patches.
You
Mallory
outgrew them.
will come up and be like, "Oh, you gotta." There's even a word for your socks. Darn. Let me darn your socks. I was like, "Really? You gonna darn these?" I got them at Dick's
Never
Sporting Goods. They're really cheap. You don't have to darn them. No one's darning socks anymore. That's what I've noticed.
What about iron-on
No.
patches?
Yeah, you know what I want? I want that American flag peace sign patch on my butt. That's what I want. And I want to keep on trucking patch too.
I'm just talking about the plain iron-on patches.
The iron-on patches were the worst. Did you ever have tough skins?
Yeah.
Those with Sears jeans for boys. Yeah.
With an elastic waistband.
No, they were not elastic. They had these.
When you're little
super-
kids, they were.
They just had like layers of thick knees that you couldn't bend your legs in. Tommy Fawcett's feeling it. Young Tommy Fawcett's here, 18 years old. He's going like, what's the life about right now? He's just chanting the holy name, doing seva, walking around. He's like, where am I going with my life? He's experienced a higher taste. Like, what makes sense? Everybody's going through this thing right now. You're taking bhakti seriously. It makes you re-examine your entire life. That's a good place to be. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We do this every day. If you're new to the show, join us live if you want. Email Miss Mara at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And make sure you check us out. We're going to see us live. Hang out with us live with His Holiness Radhanath Swami.
Oh, yeah.
That is going to be our Wisdom of the Sages retreat in New York City for the famous Jagannath Rath Yatra Festival. And the dates of that are
June.
June 9th through 11th. Go to bhakticenter.org to register for that. It's limited space, and we're super excited for that. And this is our third or fourth annual, and we might even have Wisdom of the Sages merchandise with us that you can also get rid of once you purchase it. Purchase it and then get rid of it. Don't get rid of it before you purchase it.
No, purchase it and then keep it for a real long time. Patch it up if you need to.
Patch it up. Darn it. Darn it.